Hey everyone, Anthony here. This camera angle is so silly. It's just like it makes the room look extra long. Camera angle is on the widest angle ever. Look how big my hands are. Crazy. So what I wanted to talk about, uh, we can angle down a little bit. Whew. So what I wanted to talk about is that my last video, I said that it was getting forwarded to the DA, the incident with my neighbor. That's what the police told me, and they refused to file charges on him and said that that I was the person who would be charged because I pulled a knife. So last night at about 9:30 p.m., detective came to my house, and he's the same person back in March. I don't remember if I showed you guys or not, but there was another guy that came to my house, ex-girlfriend who I broke up with in 2013. She starts all this drama and stuff. The actual incident that happened is I was at the BMW dealership and why am I getting into all this stuff? I was at the BMW dealership and it doesn't matter. There, back in March, detective was at my house because ex-girlfriend from 2013, her boyfriend came to my house threatening to kill me and spitting on my car and everything like that. I don't know if I ever showed you guys the video or talked about it or anything, but so it's not my first time dealing with detective. So he came to my house again for this incident to investigate what happened with my neighbor. And he needed to see if I wanted to file charges, I guess. That's what he said his purpose was here. We talked for like an hour, whatever, and he goes on and on and on, just trying to. He's the type of person who keeps talking and talking and talking and changes his thoughts like so many times that you can't keep track of what he says because of how much he talks. Like it's not like having a conversation. It's like that he's talking at you and not having a conversation. He's talking at you and not taking anything that you say into account when you're trying to have a conversation with people and trying to uh, like if I bring up like a counter argument or a counter fact or something that he has wrong, uh, he doesn't take that into account or anything. So, but he said that the DA's office is in agreement that I would be the one who's charged, right? Because uh, so their reasoning is absolutely ridiculous. He said that uh, the person who initiates deadly force is the person who is the aggressor and who is charged. And that if someone comes at me, start wanting to start a fight and screaming that they're going to kill me and that they're going to vandalize my car and everything like that, that doesn't, even though they're bigger than me, even though they're more aggressive and angry, and that even though that I've seen him beat up people on the block before and jump them and get into fights and everything, even though I have all that information in the past that I've seen, uh, that he says that fists don't count as a deadly weapon and that I don't have the right to pull a knife until deadly force is used against me. And I'm like, that's a losing battle. Like I'm gonna like if you told any of that to police officers, like if a police officer was told you're not allowed to pull out your gun unless someone is already using deadly force against you, like it's completely ridiculous. Uh, and he said that I don't have the right to pull out deadly force or unless I'm like in a chokehold or something like that. I'm like, that's way, way, way too late. Like, you need to have. There's like with police and everything. There's like the escalation pyramid or whatever, where like at like first you tell them first well, let me look it up. Yeah, so the use of force continuum, I guess it's called, which is just uh, like first is your presence and verbal communication, which I did. I told the guy like, do not come downstairs, like do not like get away from me, get away from me. Then there's like empty hand control is what they say, which I didn't do because I'm gonna lose that. I'm not gonna. Uh, well, let's see what this one. No force, moderate limited force, which is physical control holds, and pepper spray. So I didn't have pepper spray on me at the time. All I had on me was my knife. I didn't have my phone on me either. Uh, so I didn't have that option. I'm going to use whatever I have available to me. So then less than lethal force is the next escalation tactic, which is like tasers and offender threat, which is physically aggressive, assaultive behavior with immediate likelihood of injury to self and others, and then deadly force after that. Uh, yeah, so police don't follow the things that this guy's telling me, and I'm like, why are you telling me this? If it was like, you wouldn't be telling this to a police officer, you wouldn't be telling this to a convenience store clerk, you wouldn't even be telling this to a woman. Like anyone who defends themselves, like you need to have a bigger weapon than they show up with. If someone comes at you with a knife, you have a bat or pepper spray, or if someone comes at you with a pistol, you have a bigger gun than them or whatever. Like you have to have the advantage there or else you're going to lose. And that's why I backed down with when he pulled out the bat, because I didn't have the advantage there unless I ran up on him, and which I didn't want a physical altercation, but I could have ran up close to him to close that distance so that the bat's not really effective. So he also said that I don't have a reasonable right to be scared because like a fist fight isn't deadly. And I'm like, no, I do have a reasonable right to be scared. Like how, I don't understand like that. Like I don't have a reasonable right to be scared when this guy's like being ridiculously aggressive and everything. Uh, and then actually making these threats and then actually leaving the house to follow through with these threats. Another thing, the police report, apparently detective was telling me that the police report says that I pulled out my knife 10 feet when the guy was 10 feet from me, which you guys saw in the video, and I showed him the video. That's not true, that he was within 2 feet of me, and that's with me telling him to get away from me and everything, and he still kept coming towards me. So he also said they won't file charges against him unless I also get charges filed against me. And I'm like, that is ridiculously unfair. Like, he's the aggressor. Like, in my mind, the initiator of force, anyone who is aggressive, the initiator of aggression and force is the bad guy. Like, I go by the non-aggression principle, never initiate aggression against anyone. That's the rules that I live by. And he's saying that that's not the rules the DA's office goes by. It's whoever initiates deadly force is the bad guy, is the person in the wrong, which is not even the Pennsylvania law at all. So that's what I was trying to clarify, because with my hearing with the gun charge, I don't want to ramble too long. This video is already 10 minutes long, but with my hearing with the gun charge, I was trying to talk to the DA and judge to see if that's their official position and if I could have a conversation about this and why it's not right. But I didn't get to have that conversation with them. But if that's the official position, like I have to leave Pennsylvania, like definitely, because I'm going to be in trouble all the time because the city doesn't believe, like there's a fundamental difference in our core beliefs, and I'm gonna get in trouble because of that. So one good thing that he did tell me, and I don't know if this is true or not, I have to call to find out, but he was saying that because I was having a problem with the last guy in March getting a PFA against him, because a PFA is only for like blood relatives or people that you are in a relationship or used to be in a romantic relationship with. And I can't get a PFA against someone who's trying to fight me and harassing me and all that. He said that if I go down to the magistrate's office and file harassment charges, then it would be like a pseudo PFA or whatever, where you can't, where this person wouldn't be able to come close to me or whatever, and I can call the police and he'll be arrested on the spot if that happens. So I'm gonna definitely look into that. The other thing with this officer that was here, he kept trying to pressure me into signing this paper that says that I need to ask him for a copy of it, but he was telling me that that I have to sign a paper saying that I won't file charges against my neighbor. And I'm like, I don't want to sign that. Like, I told him, I'm like, can I think about this like overnight, because I don't want to make this decision like on the spot. And he's like, oh, my boss is going to be mad at me. Like my boss is a tough guy and he wants these cases closed. And I'm like, I need to make educated and I need to make the right decision. And then he's like, but you can change your mind. Like, even though you sign this, you can still change your mind and file charges. And I'm like, well, then what's the purpose of this paperwork? Or what's the purpose of this form? And he's like, it's just to let them know that we can close the case, and that let them know that I came here and spoke to you. And I don't really know what the hell I signed, because he just like I could have read it, but I was just like kind of overwhelmed at what was going on. And every time that I would try to read something or try to think, he'd just be blabbing in my ear. Like, I'm like, dude, just give me a second to think. And he just kept going on and on and on. So I don't know. That's just the update on that. I'm not going to press charges or anything. If it happens again, then I will. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, but that's the case with that. And I just always feel, because there's an instance in 2009 where I got kicked, or 2019, where I was trying to talk to this one girl who worked at the pizza place. I think I made a video about this. I'm pretty sure I made a video about this. I think it's called like being banned from my friends or losing my friends or something like that. There was a bar that I frequented all the time, and there was a girl that worked there at the building next door. Go watch the video. But there's just all these instances where I'm getting tormented and harassed, and people trying to fight me, and nothing. Like, I try to pursue stuff, I end up getting banned from the bar, even though like I didn't initiate any fights or anything like that, which I think is just because that guy that initiated a fight with me works there, and it's easier for the owner to lose me, who only brings in like $20 a day or something like that to the bar, rather than losing an employee. Take care, guys. My court case, hopefully it's over soon with the filing false statements on the gun form. It's like another month with that, I think. And then hopefully I can move on with my life. Oh yeah, and like the last thing that he told me is like, your neighbor apologizes to you. Like, your neighbor said that it won't happen again, and that he lost his cool and lost his temper. And I'm like, he didn't apologize to me, so that doesn't really account. Like, if someone makes an apology, they have to apologize to me. So I know this guy. This guy says whatever he needs to say to get out of trouble, and I'm pretty sure that he probably lied to the police and whatever too. And the police are like, well, there's two sides to every story. And when you think that there's two sides to every story, then you just give the liar an advantage. So, and then the other thing, with my cameras and stuff, he's saying like, oh, well, you need to have audio recording on your cameras. I know someone else mentioned that too. Since I'm moving, I'm not upgrading my cameras or anything anymore. This is very weird to put my arms out like that. But I'm just thinking, like, because every time it's like, oh, you need more evidence, you need more evidence. I'm like, how were cases solved before cameras existed? Like, it's not like cases just cases just were never solved until cameras were invented. So there's definitely different methods to find out the truth and everything like that. Like, you can't just force me to have cameras and have evidence and do everything. Like, I carry cameras with me all the time to get evidence. Like, I'm trying to get as much evidence and whatever for this, but like, seriously, someone has to believe someone with the evidence that's provided and use actual reason and logic and see what's happening in the videos, and not say like, oh, you're standing there with he told me, he's like, oh, you took off your gloves, you were anticipating a fight. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean that I'm an aggressor or anything. Like, I'm standing there anticipating what's going to happen because I seen what he's done before. So of course I'm gonna stand there in a defensive position and look like intimidating to him this way to hope that he backs down. Like, there's nothing wrong uh, with using intimidation in self-defense. Like, don't intimidate anyone to bully anyone, but like, sometimes he said you can't take out your gun unless someone's already initiating deadly force on you. But like, cops have their guns drawn, telling people get down, and if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna shoot and all that stuff. Like, you can bring out a weapon to scare off people and whatever. Like, as long as it's justified and it's in self-defense. That's my belief anyway. And he's like, no, no, no. And that's where I'm like, there's a fundamental difference between right and wrong between me and the city then, and me, the DA, and the police department. Woo! All right, good night, guys.